Hi everybody, my name is Mark Nejma. I'm from Newsweed.com. Going to bring you a couple of stories that I find interesting today. We'll even show you a little clip over YouTube of one senator a little bit later on. But there were some big stories that came out today. Number one, Disney, who jumped into the streaming market a couple of years back, has now really started to chase after the subscribers of Netflix. Uh, who's to say if they can compete with Netflix? Probably not, because Disney is a brand that really does not bring to you anything that is R-rated. It's only content for families, which is good. But they seem to be gaining a lot of steam. Their stock price, when it dropped during COVID, went down to about $90. And if you had bought the stock back then, you would have more than doubled. It's about $188 a share right now, which is not bad, and it only took about a year to get there. In other news, America has an Afghanistan disaster, kind of reminiscent of what happened in Vietnam, where the embassy is needing more soldiers to be sent from the USA to help clear out the people that were helping the USA as, let's say, on-the-ground spies, and to remove them. The Taliban has been going feverishly, really tearing down all the connections and past players of the war, and finding people and killing them. It's a disaster. I mean, what are we supposed to do? We want to get our soldiers out of there, but we're leaving people that helped us behind, and these people will suffer. That's as big as a crime as killing someone. So hopefully the United States and the Biden administration will have some luck in getting these people out of Afghanistan. And we pray for everybody. Joe Biden, since we're talking about him, is kind of playing the political game with the COVID virus, saying that most of the Republican states is where the surge is happening. Florida has over 10,200 hospitalizations in one day. There's about 358 dead daily. So Florida is really getting hurt. As a Florida resident myself, it's pretty scary. But I think we have to think about a lot of other things that really have gone on with COVID. Number one, our general mistrust of politicians and the divide of America, which made us believe in some politicians and not other politicians, or the governor Cuomo, who was calming to so many, kept people calm, and then the Democratic Party, his opponents, going after him with this methodology of claiming that he was abusive sexually. All this politics that goes on adds to people's mistrust of the government and of the information that we're given. And that's really probably the biggest virus, is the virus of mistrust in this country. So let's hope and pray that the states that are having very difficult times find a solution to slow this virus down. We already know that the vaccine that has been given is not effective against this variant. And as shown, as I pointed out yesterday, in the vaccine companies' prices in the stock market are dropping drastically because, quite frankly, they've failed. Now, talk about politics. Let's just take a listen to Rand Paul arguing with Dr. Fauci, who is supposed to be our grandpa in charge of health, who happens to be the highest paid public employee in the United States. And in this particular video clip, Rand Paul is discussing how we, America, sent money to these laboratories to actually look into these viruses, which supposedly the SARS virus came from a bat and so forth. If you remember the beginning of the COVID virus, they said, oh, they were eating bats in the open air markets, and that's what caused it. Again, a lie. You can't believe them. Let's listen to Rand Paul a little bit.
it is gain of function.
Well, it is not. And if you look at the grant and you look at the progress reports, it is not gain of function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So
they
do
write
you still
about it.
support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not send money now to the Wuhan
Do you
Virology
support
Institute.
sending money? We did, under your tutelage. We were sending it through EcoHealth. It was a sub-agency and a sub-grant. Do you support that the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible of us if we did not investigate the bat viruses and the serology to see who might have been infected.
Or perhaps it would be
in China.
irresponsible to send it to the Chinese government that we may not be able to trust with this knowledge and with this incredibly dangerous viruses. Government scientists like yourself who favor gain-of-function research.
I don't favor gain-of-function research in China. You are saying things that are not correct.
Government defenders of gain-of-function, such as yourself, say that COVID-19 mutations were random and not designed by man. But interestingly, the technique that Dr. Barrick developed forces mutations by serial passage through cell culture that the mutations appear to be natural. In fact, Dr. Barrick named the technique the no-see-em technique because the mutations appear naturally. Nicholas Baker in the New York Magazine said nobody would know if the virus had been fabricated in a laboratory or grown in nature. Government authorities in the U.S., including yourself, unequivocally deny that COVID-19 could have escaped a lab. But even Dr. Shi in Wuhan wasn't so sure. According to Nicholas Baker, Dr. Shi wondered, could this new virus have come from her own laboratory? She checked her records frantically and found no matches. That really took a load off my mind, she said. I had not slept for days. The director of the gain-of-function research in Wuhan couldn't sleep because she was terrified that it might be in her lab. Dr. Barrick, an advocate of gain-of-function research, admits the main problem that the Institute of Virology has is the outbreak occurred in close proximity. What are the odds? Barrick responded, could you rule out a laboratory escape? The answer in this case is probably not. Will you, in front of this group, categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation of what went on in China. However, I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You support it in the U.S. We have 11 labs doing it, and you have allowed it here. We have a committee to do it, but the committee has granted every exemption. You're fooling with Mother Nature here. You're allowing super viruses to be created with a 15% mortality. It's very dangerous. I think it was a huge mistake to share this with China, and it's a huge mistake to allow this to continue in the United States. And we should be very careful to investigate where this virus came from.
As you can see, things get a little heated with people, as they should. And I think that we have to not look at this man as a Republican, but look at him as a congressperson. Number one, he's a doctor. He graduated from Duke University. He's practiced medicine for 33 years. What's his motive? What is the motive of this doctor, this congressperson, in asking Dr. Fauci these questions? And if by fact we are actually having labs that mutate these viruses, for what purpose? You have to think back at the AIDS virus, which killed so many good men, so many good people, and you have to look back at and forward to the potential of the biological warfare, the methods of destroying people secretly. I mean, something is wrong here. Now we have this new Delta variant, and quite frankly, it's going to kill a lot of people. And because we don't trust politicians, because we can't get the proper information out of the media, we don't know who to believe. We don't know whether we should trust the vaccine. We know that the vaccine has failed now that they want booster shots, but we're just supposed to just accept everything according to what CNN or Fox or some other news source that the majority of people watch tell us. And that's just wrong. And people are going to die. So you have to get involved in your government, from my perspective. But this is the news. And do we really have to search, various sources? Or why can't we be getting this in mainstream news? On further news for you, let me take my little monitor off of here. It's already up to 10 minutes. And let's talk about another politician. Ilhan Omar is angry at the Jewish AIPAC bipartisan political organization. Go figure. Anyway, Ilhan has taken on two friends as enemies, America and Israel. Ilhan claimed that there is no difference between America and the Taliban or Israel and Hamas. Wow. Anyway, people are saying that Ilhan's life is at danger because people are reporting what she's saying. Now, this seems like sort of like, wow, I guess we are mad at her if she's saying these things. Hopefully, people will keep cool heads and people can use their vote instead of weaponry to solve the problems of people that are not for America. Anyway, with the COVID Delta variant, it seems that we are having some problems in the oil industry. And the oil industry is telling you, the only part of the market that's telling you that the economy is going to go down is the oil industry. And the prices are dropping like a rock due to the coming Delta variant. Now, regarding Delta again, in France, 7 people have died in a nursing home that were vaccinated, which tells me, plain as day, the vaccines have failed. In other parts of the world, Pan-American countries, COVID is getting worse and worse. They can't get enough vaccine and people are dying. Cuba, Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela. It's just sweeping through there and nothing is coming to fruition as far as a solution to this. The Delta variant, okay, in other words, it started as COVID-19 and then it mutated, now is the next threat to the world. We need more science, we need less politics, and more information. Now here's a juicy story, something to kind of make you go, huh? A young lady named Christian Siniskaya, Siminskaya, refused to go back to Belarus because she was afraid for her life. Kristina Tomaskina, the Belarusian Olympian defector, got upset because her coaches wanted her to run an additional race. She felt very offended by them asking them to do that. So she made kind of a emotional stake of her claim that this was unfair. And the Belarusian government decided to bring her home to kind of get her away from the cameras that are saying bad things about Belarus. Anyway, the officials say she was suffering from mental health issues, as claimed she denies. Had I returned to Belarus, 2 things would have happened. I would have either been sent to a psychiatric hospital or to jail. This is what she said. She had trained for the 200-meter sprint, but the drama meant she did not participate in her Olympics. The silver medal she was parting with, the story really comes from her putting her medal on eBay to sell, awarded from the team relay at the Second European Games 2019 in Minsk, has gone up for auction on eBay with a starting price of $21,000. So far, there is 1 bid, and I may be the second bidder. Anyway, so Simonenko went to her coaches, asked her to run an additional distance race, the 4x400 relay, because other team members were ruled out having not enough doping tests. She tried to inquire about it with her head coaches, who simply ignored her and said, listen, you've got to run this race, which typically coaches do. They say, you're on a team, you got to do it. Well, anyway, she refused to do it, so they wanted to get her off the team and back to Belarus. What followed, she said, was frightening and a confusing journey. The head coach came and said, you have 40 minutes to get on a plane. She was desperate, I was playing for a time. I was talking to my parents, to my grandma. Her grandmother said she was in Belarus trying to understand the situation. My grandma, this is what she said, the Olympic athlete said. My grandma at the moment was watching the television and saw what kind of things they were saying about me, that I have problems with psychological health and so on. Still, we decided that I will return to Minsk. Now, I'm sure none of you have seen any Gen Z or millennials that have any psychological problems from too much social media or pouting or they don't want to work or whatever. So that flies out the window. No, I don't know any young people who act like that. Anyway, once they got her to the Tokyo airport, she quickly scuttled off to the police, and the police got her out of there, and the Polish have taken her in as a refugee. Tremendous story. Poland also provided a visa for her husband who arrived from Belarus. She said, "My husband is with me and the country is doing everything it can so I can continue my sports career here. Of course, the Polish people want to win. Warsaw has provided us with everything that's necessary to live in total safety while we're here in Poland." Last week, 2 Belarusian Olympic coaches, Yuri Moisevic and team official Arthur Shumak, were asked to leave the Olympic Village after asking Simonskaya to end her moment at the Olympics early, before she was able to compete in her event. Thousands have been arrested in Belarus over the past year after a contested election on August 9th last year. Detractors of Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko accuse him for stealing the election and ordering the arrests. Wait, they're arguing over the election? Wait, is that Belarus or the United States? Wait, they say that who said that in America somebody stole the... Don't believe a word they say. Anyway, Lukashenko rejects claims that he is an autocrat and says Simonskaya was manipulated. On Monday, the United States announced new sanctions on Belarus Olympics Committee for evading existing sanctions and money laundering. The committee, led by Viktor Lukashenko, the president's son, dismissed the sanctions as baseless. Karol, a Belarusian living in Vilnius, Lithuania, said he believes the orders to force Simonskaya to return came from the top. "I believe that Belarus deserves to be stripped of the right to participate in the Olympics under its own flag," he told the reporter. "I don't hate to see any country as an outcast in the world, but I have to admit that all of this is our government's own doing, and the reaction from the global community is completely deserved." The Belarusian Sports Solidarity Foundation said it's planned to use the money from Simonskaya's medal to support some repressed Belarusian athletes. The foundation, which supports dissenting athletes under pressure over their views, says it works to stop violence and human rights violations by security forces. Its website says security forces agency directors who gave the illegal orders are responsible for the violence must resign, face an independent court of law, and be sentenced in accordance with the legislation of the Republic of Belarus. Back in Poland, Simonskaya said she has little time to read the news, but she has once again started to run. Whatever happened to teamwork? She's on a team, she should run the race. That's why you defect? I wish our people that turn their back on our flag would defect. Go to another country. Go to Belarus. They need people there because everyone's leaving their country. Anyway, this piece was an opinion. Have a great evening. And remember, it's never as it seems.